Hi there, welcome to Transport and Trailer Sales. Today we're walking you through your 2024 Sportsmen Kz 261Bhkse. We're just going to start off with the back of the unit. If you notice up top, you're pre-mounted for an observation camera. If you'd like to get set up with that, you can have the parts department. You're going to have your spare tire located right at the back. And then you're also going to have the service port for your hot water heater. Just going to have to lift up that handle, give it a twist. Main thing you're going to worry about, power on and off switch. Turning that on does supply power to the thermostat inside. And then we're going to go over a few winterization notes. If you've had a trailer before and you did the winterizing yourself, you probably had a tanked water heater, in which case there's bypass valves behind it. This guy is a different system. There's no bypass valves behind it, and if there are, you can turn them. You do want to run antifreeze through it. And once you're done the winterization process completely, you're going to want to crack that pressure relief valve. Once that cracked pressure relief valve is there, you can release this brass plug, in which case it'll drain all the antifreeze, most of the antifreeze outside of the lines inside this water heater here, which will cause you to not have any cracked things during winter time. You got your main 30 amp power cord inlet here. You're just taking that out. Taking note of that notch there. It lines up with this notch on this side. Press it firmly into place. 8th turn to lock it in, and then you got that threaded collar to really lock it down. If you follow that cord back, you do have your standard 30 amp plug-in. Now a lot of campsites should have this, and you can plug right on in, but let's say you have the unit at home and you want to run your fridge, or your campsite only has 15 amp service, which is a standard household outlet. We do include that adapter. Just keep it in mind whenever you are using it. You're just going to be running your lights and your fridge. You're not going to be wanting to run your air conditioner off that. You got your stabilizer jacks in all 4 corners of the unit. The way those works is you got your drive nut here, run this foot down to the ground. Once the foot does contact the ground, just giving another 8/4 turn to snug it up. It's going to take any bounce or sway you see we have in the unit right now away. Now these are leveling jacks, these are stabilizing jacks, they're not leveling jacks. Please don't try and use them so, otherwise you do run the risk of bending them. Same goes for running them up or down with an impact. Then you do have a little extra storage space right inside here. And then right down below here, you're gonna have your main sewer outlet. You're gonna have another one right at the front there, right in front of the tires. This one is gonna be for your gray and your black. The other one is just gonna be for the galley, which is gonna be for the kitchen sink. They both work the same way. You're gonna wanna take this cap off. You know those ears there, it's the same ears your sewer hose has. Click and lock into place. You got your black valve, which is typically going to be your cleanest water, or dirtiest water, which is why you want to empty that first, and then you can come behind that with your gray valve, which is typically cleaner water filled from your sinks and your showers. Coming up ahead, you got that last sewer exit, which again is one you're going to want to do last. And then you got your cable satellite inlet, and followed with that, you got your city water connection. So if you're at a site with service, you can thread a garden hose in there, turn it on. It's going to pressurize all those lines without the need to run your water pump. Fresh water connection right here. So if you're at a site with service, you can fill up that fresh tank, and that's what your water pump draws off of. Right down below the floor here, you're going to have the drain for your fresh tank. Crack that guy open. That's going to be how you drain all the fresh water out of your fresh tank. Currently it's just draining because I did have water inside of it, just so we could summarize it for you so it's ready to go. When it comes time to summarization or winterization, you get access to your water pump by removing these 2 screws here, and then there's one last screw on the left side against this wall. Once both of those are undone, this whole piece will slide out of the way, and that'll give you access to your water pump for winterization. Coming around to the front of the unit, located in this box here is going to be that battery. It's a 27 RV. You got your battery disconnect switch right in front of it. With it in the on position like it is now, the batteries are connected to the unit. If you return it to the off position, the batteries will become disconnected from the unit. You got your propane cover right up here at the front. This is going to be where you store your propane tanks. Loosening off those tabs, most of the time you can get what you need done just by lifting up this cover. But for the purpose of the video, you can just slide this right out of the way, in which case, you can remove them. You just have to remove this wing nut. Then remove the tanks. Now you got 2 20-pound propane tanks, selector valve right on top of your regulator here with the valve pointed this way. You'll be drawing off this tank. If you were to point that valve to this side, you'd start drawing off this tank. So if this tank were to go empty, close it, remove it, then you can flip it over and continue to run off this tank while this one's getting filled up. And then to turn them on, it's like any standard barbecue, counterclockwise all the way, nice and slowly to open up the flow of propane to the unit. Now coming around to this side of the unit, inside this storage compartment here, it is where you're going to find your sewer hose. You got your 10-foot sewer hose, 15-foot water hose, some other miscellaneous goodies, including that 15 amp park adapter inside the standard starter kit. This is going to be the drive tool for your stabilizer jacks. And then on the wall, You do got this little light switch, turning that on. Gives you a little bit of light inside here for if you're looking for something specific. Got your main entryway door, which we will be entering through today once I get over to the rest of this outside here. Popping this guy open, flip it all the way up, click it up. You got your mini fridge. Now that only works off shore power. It's not 12 volts, so it's only going to work whenever you're plugged in. Just keep that in mind. It's a great little beer fridge or kids drink fridge, whatever you decide to use it for. And then you got your griddle right down below, pulling that all the way out. You have your propane quick connect line. Beautiful thing about having this inside this compartment here. So you take this, pull back like any standard airline, insert it onto the little nub that's on this side, making sure that you have access to that valve easily. Click. Once it's clicked and locked into place, you can open up the flow propane. Now you can run this guy down to your quick connect line in your trailer. Now this guy is going to be plugged right into those front propane tanks, so you're not going to have to carry any extra propane with you if you didn't want to. And then this side works the same way, pulling back on the collar, inserting, locking it into place, opening up the flow propane. Now you'd be able to be ready to fire up your griddle. Now, as an added safety feature, this does go for both ends. You can't operate the coupler with the flow of propane open, so you do have to close that flow of propane, and then they'll allow you to operate that coupler to remove it all. Now, whenever you're not using it, I always recommend putting your dust cap back into place. That way, you're not getting any debris inside of there whenever you're not using it. The way I do it for this side is I just wrap it around itself and insert it, locks it in, and then you can just stick it on top of your griddle. That way you always know where it is. You close it up. Dog leash latch here, just in case you had any animal you wanted to hook up. You got your furnace exhaust here. Whenever your furnace is running, it's going to be blowing out hot air, so just be mindful of that. Got a couple exterior plugs in case you want to put the TV outside. They also included a cable satellite outlet. And now you do come to your black tank flush. That works pretty simple. But you're going to have to make sure you do read that caution sticker before you use it. It's very important that you do have your sewer hose connected and your black tank valve open. Reason being, if you're pushing pressure inside of that tank and that pressure has nowhere to go, it can expand that tank to the point of cracking. Again, that could be a costly mistake. We don't want to make it, so make sure that you do always have your black tank connected and your sewer valve open whenever you're spraying out that tank. That's just to help any false monitor panel readings or just an odor around the unit. 2 low point drains right down below the floor here. You just crack those valves open. That's going to be how you drain most of the fluid outside of the lines. Now, if you don't want water going stale or stagnant because you're not using the unit for a while, or if it's coming time to winterize and you want to relieve some of that antifreeze out of there, which is a good procedure, we always recommend it, cracking those guys open. That way you can drain most of that out. Now to get inside, you're just taking that assist handle, pushing it up, folding it 90 degrees. That is going to lock it into place and it'll allow you to open up the door. You have to open up the door all the way to get your stairs down. Pulling on the stairs, pull them towards you. Now you have adjustable legs for your campsite needs. You just have to pull in the tabs, put them in their corresponding slots so you have nice little stairs at your campsite. Now taking a step on the side. First thing you notice off on the left is that fire extinguisher, which is just like home. Pull the pin and shoot. Up on the wall here is going to be your main monitor panel system. Got your light switch, which is going to turn on all your main living space lights. And then you have this one awning light. It turns on that little light right down above your range hood vent. And then you got your awning button. Push and hold that extend button. The awning's going to start making its way out. Now, unfortunately, today we're not going to have enough room to fully extend it just due to space. But once it would be at its full extension, you'd see the back of the metal tube and a little flap hang down. Sometimes the flap can get stuck, so you might have to retract the feet and then try putting it back out again just for it to hang down. That's about all we're going to be able to go out today. Now, if it were to start raining, you can take any arm front or rear, pull down at the center. It's going to change the pitch of the awning head, allowing water to now run off. Now, if you like that angle better, you can do the same thing with the front arm. And it's going to allow for more shade underneath, just making sure you do push them both back to straight before you bring it back in. That way you don't run the risk of bending anything. And whenever you have this awning out, you're always going to want to make sure you always keep an eye on the wind speeds. Once they start picking up, you will have to make sure you bring it in. Otherwise, you do run the risk of something bending or your fabric ripping, which again is another thing we do want to avoid. Now, let's say you had to bring it in while it was wet. It's really not a big deal. You just have to try and remember at your next earliest convenience to try and roll it back out. That way you allow it time to dry off. That way you're not accelerating the growth of mold or mildew inside of there. Then you're just pushing and holding that retract button. The awning is going to automatically start rolling its way in. Once it does contact the side of the trailer and the arms are fully in, the motor will automatically cut out and you're good to go. Now, while we're doing that, right up top, you got your monitor panel system. You push the tank. It's going to give you the corresponding level. It's going to tell you you have a black tube, but it really doesn't. It's not hooked up to anything. You just got your black, your gray one, which is going to be for the bathroom tank. And then you do have your gray tube, which is just your galley hooked up to your kitchen sink. Then you got your slide out button. Before you ever run your slide out, you're always going to want to make sure you know what's on either side of the slide, inside and out. The reason I do say inside is you want to make sure a lot of times things do tend to shift during travel, making sure nothing got caught between the slide out and the wall, which is going to cause any damage. And whenever you're running it, just making sure you are extra visual and making sure on the outside that you have enough room for the slide out to go all the way out before you run it into anything. So push and hold the out button, the slide out's going to start making its way out. Once it does reach its full extension, you're going to see the back of the metal tube and the little flap hanging down. Sorry. Slide out. We're not talking about an awning right now. Slide out. Once the slide out's at its full extension, you're going to hear the motors wind up and click. Just like so. Now, if you want to be extra cautious, you can just run your hand behind the slide out here. You're going to want to make sure you do feel that slide out butt up against the wall with the rubber seal. That way you're sealing out any water from coming on inside. First things first, we will go over the bedroom real quickly. The light switch is all the way in the corner here, just on the wall. Turning that guy on, you're going to notice up top, you got your TV back in location, so there's a little reinforcement in case you want to mount a TV here. Coax up top, 2 plug-ins. Got your emergency exit here. Now all the blinds unit do work the same way. They just kind of sit where you leave them. And then you got your emergency exit. Pulling that tab, screen's gonna pop right out of the way, and then you can take your round handle, pull it up, push it, and hop on out of the unit. Now, of course, you're gonna wanna make sure you do go feet first, not head first, but if there is a fire, just trying to make sure you do get out of here as soon as possible. Right down below, if you pick up at the foot of the bed, it does give you access to a little extra storage space for any extra blankets you want to bring around. Now, whenever you're using any of the storage inside of this unit, always being mindful of drains, water lines, and wiring. You're not going to be wanting to affect any of that with any of your stuff. Sometimes it can be difficult, but that is just the way it is. We say that for a reason. We don't want you running any trouble down the road. In this binder here, you're going to have any keys, manuals, TVs, and remotes and stuff inside there. Up on the wall, you got your main entertainment center. TV on the wall, pretty self-explanatory. Power button, turn on the sound bar. Works pretty much just like home, minus the fact of zone 1 and zone 2. Zone 1 is your interior speakers, zone 2 will be your exterior speakers. Right down below, you got your fireplace. Power button on the far right. Button to the left of it is a timer, goes anywhere from 30 minutes to 9 hours. And then you got your different flame colors you can play with and your rock light colors. 3 different options there. And then, of course, you have your different heat settings. You got high, pushing it again, you got low, high, off. Power button again on the right to turn it off. Whenever you turn it on and turn the heat on, runs for an additional 3 minutes after, just to allow itself time to cool down. And your slide out space, you got all the lights on their own center push buttons. You got your main dinette table, works pretty standard. Pull the feet from underneath it. Set your tabletop on your desired ledges, and you can take your back cushions to fill in the center. You'd have yourself another extra bed in case you had some extra guests that wouldn't fit inside your bunk area. And then this couch also folds into a bed. You just have it pick up at the foot of it, lay it down. Again, you have yourself another bed. Pretty nice they include it that way with these guys. And then whenever you have it in the couch seating position, you can fold that down just for an extra couple cup holders. Coming into your kitchen space, tons of storage throughout. Of course, again, just being careful of drains and water lines. Sink, self-explanatory. Microwave, again, pretty self-explanatory, just like home. Then you got your range hood. Now, I always recommend running your range hood whenever you are running your stove, because the stove runs off propane. You're going to be wanting to evacuate those fumes. And since we're on that topic, we will go over your LP detector. If this guy ever starts going off, don't panic. Just turn off the main supply of propane at the front of the unit. Open up some windows vents, get some fresh oxygen inside of here. Now, I forgot to mention on the outside for the range hood, whenever you turn it on, we'll come back outside quickly just for a second. If you take a step on outside, you're going to notice you got this little flap on the outside. If you push up on the 2 tabs, which you see, that does allow you to peel that up, flap that open. That way you can be evacuating those fumes as you're making them. But of course, whenever you're traveling, try to remember to snap it back into place. That way, you're trying to keep any excess dust from outside the unit. Now, a few more notes about propane. Whenever you first get to your campsite, I always recommend firing up your stove first thing, because whenever you turn off your supply of propane at the front, it does allow air into the system. Once air makes its way into the system, it does have to be purged out. The stove's the quickest, easiest way to do that because you're manually controlling how often it's sparking and how much gas you're letting out. If you go to fire up your furnace or your water heater, those will only try lighting themselves a few times, and if they don't sense propane or a flame, they're going to throw a fault code at you. If you don't know what the fault code meant, you can throw a little wrench in your weekend, and we do want to try to avoid that and keep the frustration to a minimum. So that's why, just again, come to your stove quickly, turning it over to the high option, hitting the igniter, and of course it fires right on up. Now, that's only because I purged the system earlier because I had to test the propane system. Sometimes it can take a few minutes for you to get propane out of it. You just have to make sure that you're holding the gas valve on and hitting that igniter every few seconds. Failure to light the igniter every few seconds could cause a buildup of gas once propane were to start flowing through. And if you were to hit the sparker, you're probably going to lose some eyelashes and eyebrows from a minor combustion. Again, we want to keep that not happening, so always being safe, making sure you're running that sparker every few seconds whenever you have a gas valve on. That way you're not going to get any buildup of gas and a minor combustion in your face. To get the oven to go, it's the same thing. You can fold that down, turn it over to the pilot option. This can take exceptionally long to light just because the gas pilot's so small, only allows tiny little bit of gas out at a time. But you're going to see once you push and hold that in, it lights. Once you can let off of this button and it can hold its own, you can turn it up to your desired temperature and it does fire right on up. To the left of that, you do have a little power switch to turn on some illumination knobs, and of course going down turns on the knobs and the oven light. Turn that back off. And then you got your Furrion fridge, which is pretty self-explanatory. Popping that guy open, fridge freezer combo. Controls for both are right down below here. All the way to the right is going to be its coldest setting. Anywhere before that's a warmer setting, and of course you're going to notice some off-grid writing here. That's just because this fridge is 12 volts. So whenever you're running off 12 volt, that's going to be the most energy efficient setting to run it off of. Clicking it all the way to the left is to turn it off. Got your charcoal filter. This is just to help with any fridge odors. If you'd like to get set up with some more of these, you can just contact the parts department. They'd be more than happy to help you out get some more. Now, whenever you've had your fridge on for a few days, you're done camping, you're parking it, so you turn your fridge off. It's always a good idea to leave these doors open and allow it a couple of hours to come back to its normal temperature, because there's going to be a lot of moisture that builds up inside of it from it cooling off. So you're going to want to make sure you have some towels just to dry it up. That's just going to help stop any mold or mildew from growing inside the fridge and keeping it smelling nice and fresh. Now right down below the fridge, you do got your main fuse and breaker panel. Whenever you have a breaker trip, it will sit in the middle, so you do just have to turn it off and then back on again to reset it. All your corresponding fuses will be on your right. Up on the wall, you got your main thermostat. Pushing the button once it illuminates itself. Pushing it again, you get into different modes. If you push it one more time, you can go into your fan setting. Now you can run that fan on either high or low. That's just going to move air around with the air conditioner. There's going to be no heating or cooling involved. Two more times, we'll go back to off on the fan, go into your mode setting, turn it over, you go into cool, push enter on the fan setting. So now you come into the air conditioning effect. Now you're going to notice whenever you're in the cool setting, you can run that on either high auto, low auto, or you can just run it on just high or low. I always recommend leaving the auto on. That way it becomes an on-demand system. So if the room's set to 76, if the room is set to 67 and it's currently 76 inside of here, once the room reaches 67, it'll automatically cut out the air conditioner and won't turn it back on until the room goes above 67 degrees. That's just help with efficiency. If you were to have it on high or low, it will run full time regardless of what you have the room set to. Push the button one more time, you go into heat. So now that's going to kill your air conditioner and fire up your furnace. Your furnace only has one fan speed. It moves all its air through the floor ducting you have throughout the unit. And it does run off propane, so again, making sure that that is purged before you go to fire it up. And again, making sure that you set your set temperature. If you pull the button one more time over, it'll go into a cool plus heat option, so it'll kick in whatever it thinks it needs based on what you have the room set to. Always important that you use the auto function for this, otherwise the air conditioner won't be able to turn itself off. And one more time, that'll bring you over to the off setting. Opening up this cupboard, you got a ton of storage space. You can put whatever you desire inside of there. Get your two bunk spaces, lights on both. but the bottom is the only one with power hooked up to it. Opening up this guy, you got your power switch on the left. The button right beside it does do the little fan up top there. Counterclockwise to open up that guy, you're going to see with that vent lid open, if you were to forget that open, you do run the risk of damaging your vent lid, so always double checking before you leave, you close it. And now if it were to start raining, it is going to get pretty wet inside of here with this open, so you're going to want to, again, make sure you close it. Unless, of course, which you contacted a parts department and got set up with a max air cover. It's a cover that goes over top of this fan. It's going to allow you to leave that open and not worry about it getting damaged while travel. It also helps if there's a hailstorm. It's not going to bust right through that. It'll first have to bust through the cover, and then, of course, the biggest purpose of it, you can run the fan and leave it open if it's raining. Again, just contact your parts department. They'd be more than happy to help you out, get a quote set up with that. Then just a standard bathroom area. But you got your main GFI plug here on the wall. You got reset up top, test in the middle. If you ever have an outlet that doesn't work, this would be the first place I'd look. Then you got your thermostat on your wall for your hot water heater. That's going to be pretty simple as well. Push the power button on and off to turn it on and off. Of course, making sure you have the switch on the water heater itself turned on. Up or down to change your set temperature. Celsius and Fahrenheit with the press of a button. Power button again to turn it off. Now that is going to be it for this unit here. If you have any other questions, feel free to give us a call.